Hello and welcome back to Love Through It. I'm so happy you're here. Ooh, today there's like so many different ideas and things that want to come through. So I'm excited to see how it unfolds. It is Sunday. I will be releasing this on the following Thursday. So, wow, the energy. Guys, what's been going on? Have you been feeling it this whole past week? It's been so hard to sleep and just a lot of new energy, a lot of release energy. It was interesting because I was in Vienna last week for the first time, which was, oh my gosh, gorgeous. If you've never been, absolutely just stunning. Such a beautiful city, so much great art and culture, mind blowing, truly. But it was so interesting because I am such a sucker for beautiful surroundings. I am a reflector. I'm a Taurus. I just love all things beautiful. And so I was going to Vienna expecting to have sort of the same experience that I have when I like go to Paris. And it just sort of, it feels like it brings me to another like state of consciousness almost. And the funniest part was it did in a lot of ways, but I'm so much more sensitive to energy now that it just was not resonant with my body. Like the city, I don't know if it's the country, but I just felt it felt very heavy to me. It felt very restrictive. And coming off a couple of weeks in Greece, which again, for my body and everyone's different, everyone experiences spaces and places differently. This is why I like astrocartography is a thing. But as a reflector, again, I'm very, very sensitive to my surroundings. And Greece is just like this open, light, warm, welcoming, beautiful energy. And Vienna felt very like closed and heavy and by the book. Like it felt almost like strict. And that was really an interesting juxtaposition because Portugal is really, really light energy for me as well, which is why I think the first night ever I spent in Portugal in 2022, I was sort of like, whoa, what is this place? I think I need to be here. It feels so good in my body. And I urge you to pay attention to that because, again, our mind thinks, but our body knows. So if you really feel resonant, there's something for you there. And I really take that with me everywhere at this point. I truly believe nothing's a coincidence and everything has a gift or a lesson in it. And especially now when I go to places, I notice what I take from it. And it's been a very big and amazing travel year for us. I feel very grateful. And, I had the same sort of feeling. It was funny. We started the year in Morocco. It was not the energy for me. It was hard for me to sleep. I felt very drained. And then going to Egypt, even though Cairo is this insane city, it felt so good. Every part of Egypt just felt really, really good. And I came out of that trip really energized and creative. And the same thing happened in Rome. It was light in a different way. And it felt really, really creatively inspiring. And I came back even more like I think it was a lot of energy after Egypt and a lot of creative inspiration after Rome. And Greece, it was kind of a combination of the two. I felt so good being there. And it was so funny because I was thinking like, what am I taking from Vienna? And it came to me today that it's this real energy of taking yourself seriously. So if you remember, that came through last week on the podcast. And then also, I was at a party last night and I was talking to a friend of mine who listens, and he was saying how that really resonated to take himself seriously. And I've channeled that for him as well. And so it was really interesting because when I was thinking of like, oh, what did I take? There's many beautiful things that happened on this trip, but what was my big like physical, spiritual takeaway? It was like, oh, I'm continuously getting reminded to take myself seriously, to listen, to trust, to listen deeper. I know I talk about that a lot here. And it was exciting because it's the best of the best. That's where you go to train we went and saw this incredible Mozart concert and the musicians are insane. The art is insane. Like you go there to be very good, to take yourself seriously as an artist. And I felt that I came away with a little bit of that energy, which, I mean, that really came through for me a couple of years ago when I had an Akashic Records reading. I don't know if I've ever been able to. And I think there's a line, right? Like we shouldn't take ourselves too seriously. Life is for fun and for joy and everything's a cosmic joke. But as much as you need to be able to laugh at yourself, you need to be able to honor and trust and take yourself seriously. So I'm really sitting with that this week. And it was so interesting because I sat down a week ago today to record this because I had a little extra time and space. And my it has been and will continue to be a little bit crazy this summer. And it was so funny. I did all the things, right? I have this idea in my mind that comes from when I used to like perform an audition of like how to prepare my mind, body, and soul to be a vessel, right? That's all it is. To clear communicate, to feel good, to feel connected. And at this point, before it felt connection to creativity, now it feels connection to source, whatever that means, which, hint, hint, is the same thing. And it was funny. I got a good night's sleep. I sat down and I meditated. I channeled. I had a big channel transmission. I was listening to Wisdom of the Council, one of my favorite books by Sarah Landon. And I got really inspired to sit down and share some of that with you. And then I did the things I know to do for my body. I went for a long walk by the beach. I swam in the ocean. I, came back. I showered. I did my hair. I did my makeup. And I sat down like with a plan. And it was like someone took the wind out of my sails. There was just nothing. I felt like I could fall asleep. And it was so interesting because I sat here and I was like, well, I have a plan. I even channeled a bunch of stuff. Like, I'm connected. There's important stuff here I want to share. I know I'm meant to do that. And, I don't have a lot of time. So like, this is a good time to do another one. And there was like a whole story around me recording this and why it was important. And the more I sat here and just tried to read my notes and my channeled notes, it was like my eyes wanted to close. Like I couldn't make sense of it. Nothing was coming together in a narrative. And I did the thing that I preached like a few days before that I talk about all the time is, listen to the subtle cues of your body. That's been a lesson for me this year. Like, how do I slow down? How do I get quieter? How do I listen sooner? How do I pay attention to how I'm guided? And it was so funny because it was very obvious that I was not meant to do it. And I was like, okay, I'm just going to like take a break. I'm going to rest for a little while. Like, okay, maybe I'm just supposed to like go outside and I sat in the living room and I just was like absolutely falling asleep. And then I was like, well, maybe I just need to like zone out on the couch. And it was so funny because I didn't have it. Like the energy had completely been taken from me. And it was so interesting because we had to pack to go to Vienna and I had to run a couple of errands. I had to go to the mall, which is not my favorite thing to do. And here I am exhausted, like laid out on the couch. And I'm like, oh, I cannot record a podcast. And then I was like, well, this is not the energy. Like I really wanted to in my heart, but my body was like, I couldn't drag my carcass. And then I was like, well, I could go to the mall and like look for the sneakers. And it was like, I have energy for that. And it was so hard for my mind to reconcile this because that was my plan. And I was like, okay, how do I practice what I preach? How do I surrender? How do I just follow the energy? So I didn't record. And it was so funny because it just put a lot more pressure on, I'm home for 2.5 days before we travel again tomorrow. And it was like, in the past, I'm like, okay, I have to get my mind right, get my body right I was being very precious with it. And, I gave myself Friday to unwind because traveling really knocks me out. So I like laid flat Friday evening. And then yesterday I was thinking about recording, but we ended up getting our physio to come over, shockingly on a Saturday. And then it was like, well, if I get physiotherapy, I'm probably going to be a little too relaxed. So I was like, okay, I'm just going to like put it on Sunday and I'm just going to have to do it, rain or shine, no matter what. Right. And it was so interesting because yesterday was one of those beautiful days where, again, I just surrendered to the flow. I was like, well, part of me would just want to say no to physio and push through and make sure I record because I feel very committed to this. But the idea of like getting physiotherapy, I was like, oh, that's so nice. Like, I feel very tired from traveling. And like, oh my God, I didn't even mention. So we get to Vienna, right? We're staying in the old part of the city. It's so beautiful. It's a perfect location. We're in this lovely older hotel. And, on paper, it's everything that I like. And it's so funny. It's like my nervous system it just couldn't relax. And the first night we go to sleep there, I'm just like kind of drifting off to sleep into kind of that quiet in between space where your consciousness starts to shift. And it is like a cacophony of voices. Like, I don't know how many like spirits or souls or what's going on there, but it was just like being in the middle of a really crowded room full of ghosts. And I was like, oh my God, I cannot take this on. So I like really like sealed my space and I shut things off and, I cleared everything, but my body could still sort of feel it. And it took like 3 days for me to even sleep properly. So anyway, so I came out of this trip exhausted because my nervous system just like was not relaxing in this space because I think there was just like a lot. I mean, you think about the history of Vienna and Austria, like a lot went on there. So it's heavy. And there's a lot still energetically present that I was just really attuned to, at least subconsciously and energetically. So I get home and I'm very tired. I'm like, no, must record. And it's like, no, my body's like, just relax. So I end up having this like beautiful flowy day where, I have this very relaxing morning. Our physiotherapist is amazing, but she works on her own clock. Like time is not real. So she kind of just shows up when she wants to show up, which is, once you understand that, it's fine. But in the beginning, it's sort of like, what do you mean you're an hour and a half late? So it was like one of those things where I had an extended morning. I got to take care of some things I needed to take care of. I got this really sort of nice, relaxing massage. And then I just flowed with the rest of my day. I kind of finished some things and then I kept trying to go for this long walk. And I had a party to go to in the evening, which I was kind of on the fence about, not because I didn't want to go to the party, just because I'm tired and we're traveling and I knew I had to record this. And it's so interesting because in human design, my profile is a 2-4. So I have this really interesting push-pull because the 2 is a hermit and the 4 is very, very social. So I recharge with community and with alone time. And I have to know the difference from when I need to be removed and quiet and in my own energy or really peaceful. And I need to know when to become recharged by my friends and the people around me. So I was really feeling the need for that, but energetically I was kind of off. So I was like, okay, I'm not going to commit to anything. I'm just going to like let my day flow. So I kept trying to go for a walk because I was like, I'm going to decide after I go for a walk, I'll maybe jump in the ocean. Like I'll move my body. I'll get more connected. And like, that's a thing that like really brings me peace. So I try to go for a walk, but then one of my good friends needs to talk on the phone. So we end up like chatting for an hour, which was lovely, but it like pushed my walk back. And when I kept thinking about how would this perfect day unfold, I was really thinking about like, oh, it would be nice to go into Lisbon earlier, to like see some of my friends earlier. Or like there are a couple of friends that'd be really nice to see that won't be at this party. Like it would be so ideal to just like catch up and have a chat. And I had this one friend in mind. It was so funny. And I was like, well, I don't have enough energy to like figure this whole thing out. So wouldn't that be nice? And I kind of let it go. And I was like, all right, I'm just going to let my day flow and see what happens. So I finally go for my walk an hour after, and then I get stopped for 5 minutes because I run into one of Lou's cousins, who is our neighbor with his son, who's so cute. And then I just chat to them for a little while and we're like hanging out. And again, I'm delayed another 5 minutes. And then of course, as soon as we say goodbye, I walk like 2 minutes towards like the entrance of sort of this beach where you would leave to exit. And who do I run into? It's my one friend who I was like, oh, it'd be lovely to see her and like catch up. And here she is. She'd been at the beach just in the afternoon by herself. And I was like, oh my God, I was just thinking about you. Do you want to like go for a walk? So then we ended up, so I manifested this beautiful like connection catch up where we just like went for a lovely walk for a couple of hours. And then it was funny because before I saw her, I was like, no, I'm not going to go. And then after the connection of like speaking to my friend on the phone, running into our neighbor, running into my other friend, I was like, oh my God, it's clear that I'm getting really fed off of all of this. Like my 4 energy is like on fire. So I'm like, okay, I'm going to go to this party. So I just like kind of like jump in the shower, end up going, and it's lovely. And it was a really interesting example of where do I follow the energy of almost like the universal push of energy versus like my physical energy and like my idea of what I need. Because here I am feeling tired, But I'm noticing with every step towards connection, I'm getting more energy. And that sort of like catapults me to go to this party. And it's really lovely. And it's exactly what I need. And I talk to people. And it's just like nice to be part of the community. And I live feeling like a lot of love and a lot of connection and just like really supported and happy that I live in Lisbon, right? Because I've been traveling and I haven't been in that. And it's so interesting because, of course, I end up going to bed much later, not sleeping as well, like all of the things. And I wake up this morning and I was like, well, not sure how I was going to feel and feeling a bit tired. And so I go to do one meditation. I get an intuition to do another. I do the other meditation. I start feeling really, really good. And then again, it's this morning of flow. And it was so funny because I sat down to kind of collect my thoughts. And it was so interesting because I'm at this point where I'm really trying to be so mindful of where do I push and where do I flow? Where do I intend? How do I use my mind and my thoughts to the best of their ability without trying to control or get attached to things? Because when I do that, I'm cutting off other opportunities. When I get too close-minded about things, I don't have enough flow. And it was so interesting, true. I don't have enough flow and I cut myself off to bigger, more beautiful things, right? So here I am doing the opposite of what I normally do, like go to bed early, meditate, channel, go for a walk. I wake up, I do a little bit of meditation. I sit down, I jump on my rebounder, which definitely was a great idea. My mini trampoline. And I just sit down and I have all these ideas and everything wants to come together. And I'm like talking to my channel a little bit. And I feel the energy. And I look at some of my notes from last week and I think about what I've experienced. And it's like, what's the difference? I'm sitting here. What's the difference between last week? And besides being like physically tired last week, there was energy to tie it together. And it's so funny because I had this human design reading, the only one I've ever really had years ago with Erin Claire Jones, who was amazing. One of the things she said was you need to find as many opportunities to speak publicly, like off the cuff, like no script. You just need to like connect and let yourself like improvise what's coming out. And that really stuck with me. And I used to do that a lot in Instagram stories when I used to have my like wellness business. And I used to run programs and it's so interesting. And I really feel that here. So it's been a really interesting way to create because it really is such a co-creation. So I'm sitting down being like, okay, I know that I had these ideas from last week. I'm not attached to them. I know I have some ideas. And now I'm feeling this energy so present. And it was so funny because I was talking to my channel and I was saying like, okay, I'm having a hard time trusting myself because it's like, where am I placing ideas or where is inspiration coming, right? And they essentially, I'm going to read to you a bit off and on throughout this, but you need to trust yourself in the process more. And I was saying it's hard to know when to bring ideas. And they said, if you're excited and inspired by it, it's right. If you feel the energy weaving it together, then it's right. You have to use your mind, but it has to be in tandem with the flow of energy, which was where the light bulb moment came in, where it was like, oh, I even channeled, right? I was connected last week. I had a bunch of ideas I wanted to share, but there was no energy to bring them together. Where it was like, okay, this week it was like, okay, I'm going to refocus on, okay, what happened last week? What's going on for me? All of these different things. And then I'm sort of going to let it open to becoming its own story. And energy is what does that. Like I'm just showing up and allowing it to flow in the best way possible. And what I've learned about my channel, I'm very integrated with my channel, right? Like sometimes I'll like close my eyes and connect to it. But often when I'm in flow and I'm talking and I am listening to the flow of the energy, stuff just comes through. So they're saying you incarnated into a body with a mind for a reason, but you have to be cognizant of when they are both coming together. We know there will be moments when you do things that you don't want, but as much as possible, be available for the energy that wants to guide you, because the more aware of the energy, the fewer things you'll have to do that don't feel aligned for you. Do you understand? And then so then I was saying, yes. So if I'm right, the more we attune to the energy and go where the energy leads us, then the more we will get into alignment and flow. And then the more the energy will lead us to things that feel exciting and beautiful and joyful. And I said, yes, exactly. That's exactly it. And when there is no energy, rest, do as little as possible. Just do the bare minimum, refill your cup, because when the energy comes, you'll be guided to the next step, which again is very similar to, I think, the first episode, right? But here I am actually living the experience versus just intellectualizing it, right? Because there's such a big difference. And I think with anything, but you see it a lot in the spiritual community, where people want to manifest or create their own reality, but they're trying to do it from just a thinking level of conscious versus like a feeling, a being, a trusting, a really surrendering, a really letting go. And I mean, I lived there for a while where it's like, wow, I know all of this stuff, but I can't live it yet. And really being able to trust and surrender and live it is what's going to bring all of the beautiful stuff to you. So anyway, and also side note, I halfway through the week in Vienna, pause for hydration. Much like the World Cup, right? Hydration break. What the heck? We were looking into why they were doing that, because that's not normal in soccer, football, wherever you are. And we came to the understanding that it's for advertisements, because go US. This is where my mind goes all over the place sometimes. Anyway, I was in Vienna 3 days into it, and I started getting this like really weird sore throat, which I still have, by the way. And of course, when you get a sore throat, you're like, okay, I'm run down. I'm going to get sick. I'm going to get other symptoms. No, it's ebbed and flowed since then. I have no other symptoms. I feel a little tired, but otherwise fine. And it was so funny. I was watching Erin. I think her handle's Consciously Erin. She's the woman that I always talk about that I watch, that does the Schumann updates on like YouTube and TikTok and Instagram. And the day I get it, she was like, yeah, we're getting all this crazy new energy. You're going to have different symptoms. I have this crazy sore throat. So if anyone else has a sore throat, I'm with you. It will have been like last week for you. Oh my God. It's so funny. Okay, I digress. I got too into my little citrus probiotic green drink. Did you know that your saliva has powerful like pain relieving properties? So when you have a sore throat, the more you drink and eat, the better your saliva like soothes your sore throat, which is what's happening to me right now. Poor Claire. I might be like, cut out the whole middle section. I turned left really hard. Okay, so let me reconnect. Last week, when I was collecting a lot of inspiration for this, I was listening to, like I mentioned, Wisdom of the Council, channeled by Sarah Landon. And this goes very much along with what I was talking about. And it's funny, I think recently, more than once, and I get this question a lot when I'm channeling around purpose. And it's so interesting because I'm now in the second part of this Gene Keys retreat, which is the Venus sequence, but it starts in your purpose sphere. And it's in the first retreat that was just the activation sequence. If you know anything about the Gene Keys, if not, you can just look it up. They talk about, and this was sort of mind blowing for me, that purpose is just like looking for purpose is almost like this symptom of the mind, right? It's almost like a ruminating thought. It's a level of consciousness and understanding like there's no real purpose. It's just being. And this leads me to, it's so funny, right? I have these moments and I'm a nerd, so I'm forever like reading and listening to things. And when I'm really resonant with a teaching, I will read a book over and over and over again until I feel like it's integrated, or I will listen to it over and over and over again until I feel like I'm living the lessons of it, which is probably why I got here in the beginning to begin with all this crazy stuff. So it's so interesting. So I'm in like the second time around listening to this book, and it's so funny when things just kind of grab you. And it's like, okay, wait, I'm hearing it and I feel it feels true in my body, right? Like we talk about listen with your heart. Like I'm feeling the truth in my body, but my mind is all over the place. And this grabbed me. Your human mind will never figure it out. Hear that again, right? Your human mind will never figure it out. And this goes back to a couple of episodes ago when I was talking about how we're so obsessed with thinking. And I mean, so many of us, but we always think that, okay, if I just like rationalize or do enough research or learn enough, I'm going to be able to figure it out. And that's just almost, again, another state of consciousness. When you understand like your brain is just this tool and it doesn't actually, like it knows facts, but it doesn't know how to, it can't control your life, right? Right. You can make choices, but even if you think hard enough, if your subconscious programming is out of whack or your energy isn't right, like none of it's going to happen, right? So your mind is just this powerful tool. And they talk about your human mind will never figure it out. It's your expectation. Again, this is from, so I was listening to the Wisdom of the Council. It was one of those things where it stopped me in whatever I was doing, and I had to go sit down and then like type this up over and over and listen to it. So it really got into my body. It's your expectation, your specific focus that causes the resistance and the reaction, which limits the amount of energy that can move into form. When you understand that, you understand why certain things you wanted didn't happen. Your expectations, your specificness of it created the resistance and the reaction of it not being present, which created the sensation of lack and separation, which limited the amount of energy and light, which cut it off from moving into form, which constricted the experience of form. Should I do that one more time? It's intense. So it's your expectation. So this is when we talk about your brain really wanting to, for fear, for safety, right? Really wanting to control an outcome. I want this job. I want this person. I want this part. I want to live here. I want to do this thing, right? When you start to see and understand that in holding on so tightly to some idea of who you are and what you want, it's so limiting, right? And it makes it so much harder for you to get the thing that you want. I mean, it was so interesting to me. I'm sure I've shared this story, but years ago when I was sort of on the tipping point of really jumping off my old way of being, and that was living by the mind, understanding that, you know, when I really started to understand the big picture of, I don't know what's best for me, my thoughts, I'm not my thoughts, like I'm the observer of my thoughts. This whole turning point for me, I ended up, because the universe is so amazing, working with this woman who was this like, she had this business and was a coach, and I actually have had her on the podcast, Kathleen Schiefer, but she was kind of like this witchy mentor, but like quiet about it. And I remember she kept telling me like, okay, what's your definition of happiness? Like, what do you want? And I remember it was so specific. I was like, I want to be an ensemble cast that feels like Friends, but has like a Judd Apatow vibe, that is on like Netflix or HBO. And I want this kind of character. Da, da, da. And she looked at me and she's like, that's the only way you can be happy. And I was like, yes. Because in the past, right, it's like, no, you create a goal and you go for it. And like you don't do anything less than that. And there's a lot of narratives in acting, especially, that's like, if you can do anything else, do it, because this is so hard. So it's like the people who like make it are the ones that like are so ride and die. This is the only thing I want to do. So like it was in my mind. It was like, this is the only thing. And it was the first time she's like, do you understand that like your attachment to this one specific idea gives your range of happiness like this much? Like you're only allowed. And I was like, what? And I was like, wait, no, but like I'm supposed to want this thing and fight for it really hard. And she was like, no, like, can you see like you're limiting so much possible like joy and happiness and abundance and amazing experiences by only holding out for this one thing. And I was like, whoa. And she really got me into the understanding. She was very into like connect your gifts and when are you in flow and what's the thing you can't help doing all the time. And haha, it's this, right? If I'm at a party, if I'm at CVS, like I like the amount of conversations about this kind of thing where I'm like storytelling or giving advice or listening or channeling or, connecting with people. Like this is the thing. I'm always doing this thing. But then I was, I had my business. I was doing comedy, I was acting, and I started to realize, like, oh, okay, like I'm at my best when, like, there are a number of things, and I feel most connected to myself when I am storytelling, connecting to other people, listening, making people laugh, making people feel good, teaching people stuff through in a way that's going to liberate them and make them feel good, right? There are all of these things. And once I pivoted into that and I started to understand that, my life like blew wide open and changed a lot, but I had to let go of my attachment of the specific idea of what my life looked like. And it took me, half of my life was sort of unraveling anyway. I'd left a relationship. I was planning on leaving New York, but I was still really gung ho about acting, even though I had done it for 15 years and I loved it, but I felt something was deeply missing and I just wasn't as fulfilled. There was more. I wanted more. I yearned for more, but my brain was like, absolutely not. Right. So it was my expectation, my focus that caused the resistance and reaction. And again, like this is speaking a bit more specifically to like trying to, well, anything really, manifest more money, a specific job, a specific partner, that like you're being so rigid about your expectations, right? This expectation and this focus causes the resistance and the reaction, which limits the amount of energy that can move into form. And they talk a lot about, which is like really been blowing the doors open for me lately, and I know I've talked about it a lot here, is like allowing all that you are and realizing that instead of living under this lens of like lack, that like everything we want is separate from us, can you pivot to the understanding? And I've seen this and I feel this, is that it's all trying to come into our lives. Like everything that we want, that we desire, that we love is like so desperately trying to get to us. And it's our limitation that absolutely doesn't let it in, because it doesn't look like or smell like or taste like, or, you know what I mean? We're not like what we thought. It's too different, or we can't let go of something that's pretty good in order to make space for something really great, right? Like we're always the one limiting what's allowed, what wants to come in. There's so much love. There's so much, and this is like such a channeled thing coming in right now. They're like telling me like, there's always so much that wants to like pour and shower and give you everything you want. Like truly, it's all here. It really is here. You just have to become a match for it. But honestly, it's because you need to open and allow and understand that you are love and that we are love. And like, it's not supposed to be this hard. You're not supposed to struggle and suffer in this way. Like truly. So it's the limitation. Okay. So back to their text. Sorry, this is a little all over the place, but it's cool because I'm learning. Like this whole process, I'm learning and I'm getting better at this. So like, I love that you're alongside with me, and know at the end of the day, like this is just also a vibrational transmission. That's all any of this is, whether it's music, whether it's talking, like you're getting a vibrational transmission that is coming from beyond, whether it's through this channel book or like through my channel or through my learned experience. Like you're getting an experience of something, and not just me, with everyone in your life. So notice what makes you feel good and what makes you feel bad, because, aligning yourself with better and better energy that's going to push you forward, where staying status quo or doing things that like reinforce your fear, your anxiety, your anger, which is why like social media is so enticing for so many people, and so many like smart, good people who want change, but they want to be angry and they want to reinforce the anger. It's like, no. We're so much more powerful when you can align to something better, right? Because again, like the higher the vibration, the more available to you, right? And the quicker things are available to you. Anyway, back to this, right? So when you understand that, right, that it's your expectation, your specific focus that causes the resistance and the reaction, which limits the amount of energy that can move into form, you understand why certain things you wanted didn't happen. Your expectation, your specificness of it created the resistance, right? So, you know, there was something so much like it was so funny for such a long time. I really wanted to move to LA because I was so burnt out in New York, and I had this idea of LA being this like sunny and beach and good food and slower pace of life and like all these things my soul yearned for. And I spent 6 months there and I didn't like it. And in that time, the pandemic happened. I realized I didn't care about acting anymore. Like so many things changed. But it was so funny because I remember I called my mom and I was like, I think I want to leave, or like, I think I want to temporarily leave and I'll put myself in storage. She's like, yeah, do it. And I was like, but what if I don't come back? And like, what if I get stuck? And she was like, Lianna, you'll only not go back if you don't want to go back. And I was like, right, right. And if I had stuck to this idea of being in LA, I would never have found Portugal. And Portugal is such a better match for me. Oh my God. I feel more alive here than, I mean, yes, there were years in New York where I did, but this is such a better match for me, especially at this point in my life. And LA just like didn't give me any of that, right? But I had to let go of that idea for this to present itself to me. Your expectation, your specificness of it created the resistance and the reaction of it not being present, right? So that it's not only your specific, very narrow idea, it's the energy of lack and frustration and separation from it, which created the sensation of lack and separation, which limited the amount of energy and light, which cut it off from moving into form, which constricted the experience of form. So much is wanting to come through for us all the time. And when I had my death experience a couple of years ago, it was really confronting because I got to sort of peek behind the veil, and it really was obvious to me that this is all love. And it's obvious, and the image that I got that I think of all the time is like, everything you want is like an inch away from one side of your face and you're just looking in the other direction and you're focused on the wrong thing. And if you can just allow and open up and again, let go of fear and judgment and all those things, just incrementally even, you'll start to see your life shift in these like bigger, better ways. So your destiny is not one person. And this is the idea of like, we hold on, and how many times in your life you're like, okay, once I get the person, once I get the job, everything's going to be better. And you get the person, or you fall in love, you get married, you get the job, you get the house. And then there's always another goalpost moving forward. It's always continued to go forward. So your destiny is not one person. It's not one experience. Your destiny is not winning the lottery on a particular date. It might happen, but your destiny is that in every moment you are open and allowing and letting it flow. And in every moment you feel and know that you are living your destiny. The perfect allowing. Your destiny is for your human self to just allow it all in. It's your destiny. The specifics and expectations don't matter. It's a vibration. It's your presence within the experience. And the cool thing is, this goes back to how we started the podcast around energy, right? The more you are present, you are attuned to the present moment. And the more you are attuned to that subtle energy within you and around you that's helping you, the more it becomes a really beautiful experience, and it becomes very flowy. And it's so interesting because here, as this is coming up, because life is so perfect, right? I think a week before, I'm looking at the sphere of purpose within the lens of the Venus sequence, which is the retreat I'm doing online with the Gene Keys. And they say your purpose is not, and this is from the Gene Keys, your purpose is not about doing anything, but simply about being who you are. To discover your purpose, you must relax into the beauty of your own body and cultivate a sense of inner calm, trust, and joy for being alive. Your purpose is the essence of your humanity in its most natural and loving state. What if, just by being your authentic self, you are giving a great gift to the entire world? This is your invitation to respond to life with peace and creativity instead of reacting against it with fear or anger, right? And of course, this is really, really hard for like late stage capitalism, or I feel like even as an American, like growing up, the culture is like, no, like you're so defined by your achievements and your job and what you do. And I hate to break it to you, as much as like that's such a beautiful part of life, you're worthy and incredible, and you're worthy of everything that you want, just being who you are, just resting, just healing, just doing nothing, right? Just doing nothing. You're worthy. It's not about the doing. And so we obsess over purpose and achievement, and we get there. You see so many people who do that and they're not happy. We wouldn't have these like crazy billionaires if that's what made you happy, right? Like, you can't tell me those guys are happy. Like, that's the whole creepy thing. But that it's your experience of the ride. And the more we allow, we surrender, we let go, we come back to, oh gosh, what are the things that make me feel really good? What are my inspirations and ideas? And allow that to intermingle with the energy that supports you. You go on this wild ride where things become more and more beautiful. So I'll go back to the text of the Wisdom of the Council. They're saying, so you're getting this, you're feeling this, you're stepping into heaven on earth. Then you must think, well, I'm in heaven on earth. I think I should win the lottery, right? My soul must be here, right? If I'm in heaven on earth, I must be able to reverse aging or lose weight. And they say, yes, that's all fine and good. As you fully allow energy to move into form, you will have miraculous and magical experiences, which I can attest to 100%. The more I surrender and I'm just in my joy and in my peace, and I do things to cultivate my inner sense of gratitude, those kind of things. The destiny is you living an extraordinary life experience, right? The destiny is the flow. The destiny is allowing. The destiny is all of your experiences being magical and you living an extraordinary life experience. That's the divine plan you created for your life, and you did create it, we assure you. So, I mean, what? Mic drop? Amazing. Like, what a thing. Like, just sit with that. Just sit with that. It's just you. How can you be the most authentic, beautiful version of yourself, right? And we do that by taking care of ourselves, so listening on a deep level to what we want and what we need and what excites us and what is curious for us, right? And what feels scary in a good way. And we challenge ourselves and we expand ourselves, right? And we tell people we love them and we take risks and we take chances and we're creative and we move our bodies and we treat our bodies, but so we can just be in every moment in awe of the beauty of every moment. And I promise you, if you train yourself to look for it, there is a gift. There is, a gem. There is something for this moment and this moment and this moment to teach you every single time. There is something in it for you. And there is something beautiful in every single moment, even in the shittiest, most horrible situations. If you train yourself to look for it, you will find it. And in doing that, you will feel more peace, more gratitude, more abundance. And your vibration will shift, right? And when it does, you'll start to expand. You'll be magnetic to different people, to different opportunities, right? It's simple, but it's not easy necessarily, right? And it's so funny because you look at this and all I did unintentionally trying to heal my nervous system a couple years ago was spend a couple hours a day doing Dr. Joe meditations, which was practicing what my version of heaven on earth felt like in my body. What did peace, freedom, expansion, what did all of that feel like? And then my life changed drastically. So coming back, your consciousness is what moves energy into form. Your awareness moves light into form. Your consciousness moves your energy and your light into heaven on earth, which they just talk about is a consciousness, right? This is not like biblical heaven, but the idea that you can cultivate a state where you are just really profoundly enjoying your life experience. And that is really a way to frame your thoughts. And again, this isn't bypassing. This isn't to say you don't feel pain, but it's to slowly orient towards the beautiful things that life has to offer, because you're going to find what you look for always. If you feel like everyone's out to get you, you're going to see that. You're going to have experiences of that all the time. But if you look for the beauty in every moment, you look for, how do I experience heaven on earth? And and it's so funny, right? Because heaven's a very charged word, and that idea is very charged. So when I first started listening to this stuff, it's like, oh, okay, you have these ideas and it sounds very lofty. But it's funny because it's now this thing I think of in the back of my mind. And whenever I have one of those like beautiful moments, like where I live by the sea, where I look around and the energy of the beach is just buzzing, there are kids playing and the sun is out and people are swimming, it's like, ooh, heaven on earth. Or like you get that first bite of like really good chocolate ice cream, you're like, ooh, heaven on earth, right? And you savor that and you practice those moments. And the thing is, again, the more you look for something, you'll find it. You're going to start to just create this in your body, and you'll understand that you're just going from one of these moments to the next. And then you're seeing what they're saying here, right? It's so cliche, but it's not the destination, it's the journey. And this is just teaching you how to align with the journey in the highest, most beautifully expressed version of it for you. And that's going to be different for all of us. So yes, consciousness is what moves energy into form. And that, of course, right? You think of a sandwich, like, then you're like, oh God, I'm hungry. I want to make a sandwich. It gets your energy moving it into you making a sandwich. Like, it's actually pretty simple, right? Your awareness moves light into form. Your consciousness moves your energy and your light into heaven on earth, should you choose to use it in that way, right? And I love this. You are the most beautiful thing you will ever create. Creator within your own creation, master of your life experience. That is you, and that is why you are here. You have a clean slate now to never again experience the delay or gap between you and your highest potential. It's better than you can imagine. It's better than you can ask for. This is our favorite part. You're never going to figure it out. And this is where it's a cosmic joke. They talk about this in Gene Keys. It's like, life is a cosmic joke. We come from wholeness to return to wholeness, right? Like you're never going to figure it out. Your brain is never going to figure it out. So once you understand that and you just have a good time, because I do believe life is for joy, it's for love, it's for learning, it's for connection. There's not anything more than an understanding of like, we're on this crazy trip together. How do you have the best time? How do you look for, all the good things, not all the bad things that happen along the way? And they say at this point, there's no way you can miss out on your destiny, because the level of awareness and consciousness that you are living in, as you start perceiving beyond the limitation of the physical senses, you start expanding your potential. You start expanding your possibilities. You allow a whole new reality to emerge through your perception of something beyond. Destiny is the flow. Destiny is the allowing. Destiny is all your experiences being magical and you living an extraordinary life experience, which is what you can control, right? Like, this is actually your control of how you experience your reality, how you respond to life, not react. And again, this is where even like a brief meditation every day can create a little bit of space for you to be observing your thoughts, observing life. So you're not just knee-jerk, unconsciously reacting to everything, where you get to be like, whoa, okay, I got a flat tire. That sucks. But maybe this saved me from a car accident, 10 miles up the road. Or what's the lesson in this for me? Or, assuming everything's perfect, even if we don't know why in the moment, right? But if you're here with me, they're saying, if we're here, if you're drawn to hearing this, reading this, there's no way you can miss out on your destiny, because the level of awareness and consciousness you are living in, we are living in right now together in this moment, in this podcast, as you start perceiving beyond the limitation of the physical senses, right? So knowing that like, there's so much more than what we can see. There's so much more than what our brains can perceive and what we see other people doing around us, or what culture tells us what we can do. There's so much more than the limitation of our physical senses. you start expanding your potential. You start to realize, wait, maybe I'm not just in this box of my personality, or this, I'm defined by my job or my role in my family. What if I'm so much more than this? What if I just am? What if I just am a being that's present, that's open to all possibilities, that light her up, that bring her joy? You start expanding your possibilities, right? As soon as you start perceiving, you expand your potential, you start expanding your possibilities, you allow a whole new reality to emerge through your perception of something beyond. Destiny is the flow. Destiny is the allowing. Destiny is all your experiences being magical and you living an extraordinary life experience. That's all we're here to do. Oh, and I had again, it was one of those things last week where everything was aligning, which is why I was so convinced I was meant to record this last week, because it was like, oh, I heard the book and then I felt like I needed to transcribe it. And then I got a channel and then someone sent me this Dr. Joe reel where he's saying, you aren't going to think about how and when this is going to happen, because this is the job of the universe, right? So again, kind of backing up, it's like, okay, I'm here to have this beautiful experience, or I'm here to have love, or I'm here to experience abundance, or I'm here to experience adventure or freedom. And I'm just going to keep showing up, and I'm going to stay connected to myself, and I'm going to step through fear, and I'm going to follow the energy, and it's not up to me. How? It's not up to me. How? And I want to end this with, purpose is not an external thing. It is a quality of consciousness, which is a Gene Keys quote again. It's not an external thing. It's a quality of consciousness. And again, as we increase the quality of our consciousness through our awareness, as we get to decide, wow, that doesn't make me feel good. That person doesn't make me feel good. Eating that doesn't make me feel great. Wow, being this busy is really hard for me to connect to myself. Wow, doing this kind of exercise that used to work for me 10 years ago still isn't working for me. Eating the same breakfast, maybe that's not working for me anymore. Once we start to attune to that stuff, right? And we start to enhance the quality of our consciousness simply through being aware of our life and paying attention and then listening to what makes us feel good and what doesn't, you start to expand what's possible. You start to be available for different opportunities. Your frequency starts to change. You become a magnet. And it's all you're doing is the internal work. It's the yes, no, does this feel good? Or it's as silly as it sounds. And it was hard. I felt bad about myself the whole rest of the day preparing this whole thing, feeling like I'm so committed to showing up, like, like I continue to be urged, and it feels like I feel in my heart that I'm meant to do. And I get messages about, like, I'm taking this seriously. I really am. But it took showing up and being like, wow, everything's here for me, but also the energy's not. And I'm tired. And I'm going to understand that, like, I'm going to listen to this today and I'm not going to do it. Right. I'm just going to go where the energy's flowing. So I encourage you to, as always, slow down, get quiet, connect to you and what you love, what brings you joy, what sparks your curiosity, what lights you up, what makes you giggle, what you're drawn towards and you don't know why. Like, live your life according to that as much as possible, right? Find the energy and, like, live within the energy. Follow that trail. And when it's gone, you just wait for it to come back, and you took really good care of yourself, and you rest, because it will come back. All right, let me connect and see if there's just anything else that wants to come through. All I get, and so it shall be. And so it shall be. I'm just giving a lot of love. Oh, I'm feeling a lot of love and a lot of love for you all. And I'm just sending that energy out. Oh, thank you. Thank you for joining me. Thank you for being on this interesting wild ride with me, with all of us together, as I learn, grow, and expand, as we learn, grow, and expand together, I hope. And yeah, I feel called one more time to read this, and then I'll let you go. Your purpose is not about doing anything, but simply about being who you are. To discover your purpose, you must relax into the beauty of your own body and cultivate a sense of inner calm, trust, and joy for being alive. Your purpose is the essence of your humanity in its most natural and loving state. What if, just by being your authentic self, you are giving a great gift to the entire world? This is your invitation to respond to life with peace and creativity instead of reacting against it with fear or anger. All right, I will leave you with that. I love you all. I hope you have an incredible day, and I will see you next week.